Thomas. Hi everyone. Today I try to present our article. I listen to the course practitioner's perspective on the relevance of selected cognitive skills and assessment for esports performance. We have 8 authors in the study and we published our article in the International Journal of Sports Science and Coaching. If you need any more detail, you can see our article. We know that the esports players are required to perform a complex action while simultaneously processing multiple stimuli and minimizing error that could impair in-game performance. Given these cognitive demands, it's not surprising that the relationship between cognitive performance and gaming performance in esports has been frequent focus of research. Evidence also supports that higher esport expertise levels are associated with the superior cognitive performance. However, there is no agreement to essential abilities for success at esports or suitable tests for evaluate these skills. So, the research aimed to determine the most suitable cognitive abilities and the assessments for evaluating cognitive performance in esport athletes. This study employed a ranked order survey design along with the lecture-based and experimental-based learning component prior to survey dissemination. Before the onset of the study, all participants were provided with detailed information regarding the study procedures and aims. So, our study included 55, 51 healthy adults aged over the 18 years. All participants aged over the 18s, no visual impairment, no any disorders, no any taking drugs during the study, and the most critical things have at least 10 years experience in esports. In addition to being professionally involved in esports, all participants were a training venue where they complete the coaching course organized by official esports federation in Turkey. Sport participants had an average nearly 15 years of esports experience, and they all play game nearly 3 hours per day. According to participants, the majority of were interested first-person shooter games and mobile games. So this study employed a ranked order server design along with the lecture-based and experimental education. In additional session, participants were first provided with a definition of terms related to cognition and how they can be assessed, which specific neurophysiological instruments are typically used in esports research in we abstract the literature for about 3 hours at the predetermined location. And the session was led by instructor who has experience in both esports and cognitive assessments area. So, 7 main cognitive skills relating to esports were taught. Each will be explained. These simple reaction time, inhibition, attention, timing, short-term memory, cognitive flexibility, and risk-taking. After the instructor verbally explained the basic of research on cognitive functions in esports, the participants were familiarized with the specific cognitive tests by administering them on gaming computers. During this familiarization session, we tried to comply with the methodological standardization in the measurement of cognitive performance as mentioned in the methodological focus. So, after the education session, the 9 tests included for the determine cognitive performance. These tests: change detection, backward clock test, corsi block test, flanker test, go-no-go test, situation awareness test, time mode test, tracking test, and balloon analog risk test. We choose these tests element in literature. After the computer-based cognitive test familiarization session, the participants were asked to select and rank to the top 3 cognitive skills and top 3 cognitive tests that they perceived the most closely correspond to the in-game dynamics in esports and requirements of their specific esports game in order to proceed priority for esports performance success. Some of these tests, for example, these change detection tests, and backward clock tests, and these time ball tests, for example, and the flanker tests. Data analysis to analyze the choice of esports course, a score of 3 points was assigned to the first ranked, a score of 2 points to the second ranked, and a score of 1 point to the third ranked, cognitive skills and cognitive tests respectively. Cognitive skills or cognitive tests that were not selected were recorded as 0 points. A total score based on all ratings was calculated for the further statistical analysis. So, the result of the study, the rank, some of the esports course rating on cognitive skills are presented in figure 1. The most critical 3 cognitive tests which chosen the esports course: first, attention; second, reaction time; and third, timing. In contrast, esports course consider risk-taking and short-term memory less relevant for esports in-game dynamics for this study. And for the cognitive tests, which cognitive tests were most closely in-game dynamics, they choose change detection test, time wall test, and flanker test. And the go-no-go and course block tests were considered less relevant for in-game dynamics compared to the include cognitive tests. So, the significance of cognitive skills in esports success has been recognized. However, their exact impact and branch-specific test selection remain uncertain. The current study addressed this research gap by surveying experienced esports coaches to explore their perspective on the two key questions: which cognitive skills they perceive as relevant for esports performance, and which instruments, which tests they consider suitable for assessing cognitive skills in esports. The study aligned with the theoretical and practice-based frameworks of expertise by informing course about the cognitive targets of the test and subsequently collecting their reflections on in-game performance. According to the current studies, esports course perspective, attention, reaction time, and timing the most relevant cognitive skills for the in-game dynamics in esports. In addition, comparable to other traditional sports skills such as football and basketball, reaction time can be considered the key determinant performing successfully in specific esports games, especially FPS games. Similar to reaction time, timing can also be considered a critical determinant of success in esports, which reflects the findings in the current study and the high ratings of the esports course. Furthermore, our sample esports course rate the change detection test, time wall test, and flanker the most relevant cognitive tests for evaluating cognitive skills performance with esports players. These findings reflect at least partly the current scientific practice in sports research in which these cognitive tests commonly used. Moreover, the cognitive skills proved by the participants selected change detection, timing, and flanker all have substantial overlap with the esports course rating in important cognitive skills, such as attention, reaction, and timing. These tests measure these cognitive skills. In summary, findings reveal that the attention, reaction time, and timing skills were deemed the most crucial cognitive skills for esports, and coaches identified the change detection, time wall, and flanker tests as relevant tools for assessing cognitive performance. But the predictive validity of these tests in real competitive settings is still unclear. In addition, it remains uncertain whether these skills directly contribute to in-game success across different esports genres. Moreover, future studies should consider the influence of external factors such as stress and competitive pressure when evaluating the applicable of these assessments in esports contexts. Thank you. My presentation is over. Thank you. Okay, thank you.